Today I want to deal with genealogy. Everybody shout genealogy. Come on upstairs. Everybody shout genealogy. If I can make a scratch today, that scratch will be when you get out of this service, you will do one of this number. You will look at yourself, because what will leave this service is different from what came in. You that will leave this service will be completely different than you that came in. Because today I want you to see your genealogy. I want you to see where you came from. I want you to see what you're supposed to be. No, I want you to see what you are. Maybe if you see what you are, you will become what you're supposed to be. For your information, Pastor Loma provoked this thought in me. When he has an outside eye that he can look at what is going on, and he tapped me on the shoulder, I think it was Friday, and said, "Daddy, why is it that things are like this when it's supposed to be the other way?" And the Lord started working on me and told me to deal with genealogy of the black race. I normally take 1 month, 4 Sundays, to preach nothing but black history. I normally take the entire month of February, because today I notice I have some new people who have not heard me preach this for the past 19 years, and even years before then. Mother put up a good something at the church, a big church there, and they asked me to come and speak a few years ago. And my phone was ringing so many times after that, because this is who I am. This is what makes me what you see. I know me. I know where I come from. And today I pray to God that you will know who you are. What is genealogy? What I will teach you a lot of biology today and relate it to theology. Maybe if you can take your biology and make it theology, you will understand whom you are. So follow me. I'm not going to get too lost into biology, but you have to connect biology and theology. That's right. And then add it to Afrocentricity. So welcome to my class. What is genealogy? Genealogy is a line of descent traced, work with me upstairs, a line of descent traced continuously from an ancestor. A line of descent traced without gap continuously from an ancestor. So for every genealogy, a gene has to originate from an ancestor. There's got to be a connection, continuous connection to an ancestor. So when I am able to connect you to Adam and go through Noah, and then specify on you through Ham that you are Hamitic, And from being Hamitic, you are not Canaanite, you are Cushite. Then you will be able to trace your gene all the way back. And then, get ready for this, I will show you the genetic coding of black folks. So, genealogy is combing through the birth record or the birth genealogies, going through the line and see how you are coded. And your coding supposed to be what is produced. And I will show you where the diversion is. Genealogy, everybody say genealogy. The word ology, we know the word gene. I'm going to define gene in a minute. But the word ology means to study. To study. When you hear ology, theology, the study of theo or God. So ology represents a field of study. So then, let's look at what gene is, so you can know why we are studying genealogy. Gene is a basic unit of heredity. Your mama here black, yours is black. It is what you inherited from your mama. Mama got big nose, you got big nose. That's why your nose is not pointed. You can go and operate it like Michael Jackson, it's still going to look terrible. Because that is your heredity. So gene is the basic, everybody shout basic. Is the basic unit. There is nothing more infinitesimal about whom you are than your gene. Gene is the basic framework, is what brings you whom you are. No wonder Melody's ultrasound now look like me. Ultrasound, ask mommy. The same profile in ultrasound, because her gene came from me. So gene is the basic unit of heredity that occupy a specific location on a chromosome. And I'm going to define chromosome in a minute. I told you, you are in a biology class. Never taught it this way, but it's a revelation from God. And sometimes God has to take the things we see to explain to us the thing we don't see, so that we can connect what we don't see to what we see. Okay? So gene has the following characteristics. Let's go. Each gene consists of nucleotides arranged in a straight line or linear manner. Gene always appear in the nucleus or the heart of things. And gene has these nucleotide arrangements in what I call linear manner. Number two, most genes, listen to this, most genes are coded for a specific protein or segment of protein leading to a particular characteristics or function. Hear me. Most genes are coded, and that code leads you to a specific characteristic. So if you are a liar, it is the coded gene in you that leads you to that specific characteristic. If you are lazy and you don't want to get up in the morning, it is a coding. in you that lead you into that specific, I told you I'm going there, Pastor Loma, that lead you into, if you are drinking, and if you cannot lay down when you wake up in the morning and you got to do something, there is a coding in your genes that leads you into achieving. So you can go to the class all day long, but you have to make sure that there is a coding in you. There is something pushing you. Even your salvation has to do with all your characteristics. Oh, we're going deep. So these genes are coded for a particular characteristics or a particular function. Genes are the hereditary molecule which transfer trait to progeny. Oh, I'm gonna mess you up today. Because just because your daddy is lazy, you think you have to be lazy. But you have to remember how I started this. That genealogy is to trace you back to your original. Not what got messed up in between. Because your father is lazy, it does not necessarily mean that's how your gene is coded. Because gene go all the way to the original creation. Oh, I'm gonna mess you up so much. That you see, God become a victim of his own rule. Whatever the law God made, he become victimized by it because he has to make that work. Because he knows it's not fair for your drunkard daddy to mess up your life and your children's life. Because he chose to be a drunkard. But he chose to be a womanizer. Because he chose to be lazy. He knows it's not fair. So he did not connect your gene directly to your father, but he go to the original. He goes to the original. Go with me, go with me, go with me. Genes are hereditary molecule which transfer trait to every progeny. Anything that come out of this is transferred. So I can jump your crazy daddy. Have you seen a crazy daddy bring a smart child? Because the gene of the child only goes through that daddy, but what you are is still what you are. What you are is still what you are. So genes are composed of DNA or RNA stretches. Now, I have to really control myself because I really wanted to lend the study today into dealing with DNA. Then that would draft me into COVID, which is virus. And there's a difference between DNA and virus. But let me touch it. Gene, let me touch on that a little bit. Gene composed of DNA or RNA. That's why the medication for this virus or COVID SAR-19, that's the name of the virus we are dealing with, has to do with genetic coding. Virus is not a bacteria. virus is a coding in the gene. That's why you wear a mask, because your breath carries what can contaminate your DNA, what can contaminate your gene and causes it to replicate. So I will show you how the gene is affected, or how a virus, which is a form of a gene, can affect us through breathing. I will show it to you, and how this is so good, and how we are affected through the breathing of God. Because just as virus infected you, so is his breath in. Oh, I'm taking you somewhere. So the gene go through your breath to contaminate somebody else, but the gene of God go through his breath. Somebody shout genealogy. Come on, shout genealogy. The key difference between DNA and gene is that, watch this now, DNA is a chemical structure which stores generic instruction. Everybody shout instruction. DNA is a chemical structure that stores generic instruction. But genes are the minute part of DNA. So a DNA is formed by many genes. And the problem with genes is not all genes are coded the same thing. You have so in one DNA you have multiple genes, and it depends on how those tiny genes are coded. Oh, I'll take you deeper. The generic instructions are genes and are small DNA stretches which determine a specific trait. So it may be just a tiny gene in your composite DNA that causes you to be lying. Are you in the house with me? Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. Let's look at virus for just a minute. Let's look at virus, then I'll bring it home. You know where I'm going now already. A virus is a small collection of generic code, either a DNA or RNA, and I don't have time to explain the difference, surrounded by a protein coding. But a virus cannot replicate alone. Viruses must infect your cell and use component of the whole cell to make copies of itself, and then turn around and damage the host cell. That's what virus does. So if virus can do that to affect your cell, destroy the whole cell through breathing and take control, so also if you have a good gene, you ought to be able to destroy some cell and take over and control. So when the dead cell was in Adam, God said, and that releases so many minute genes into Adam, and all the dead microbites or the dead cells in Adam receive life. Oh, we're going somewhere. Let's go deeper. So I just want to touch on virus. So let's go back to DNA, because genes are contained in the chromosome. Let me deal with that chromosome. Because chromosomes are in the nucleus of the cell. Inside the nucleus, and a chromosome contains hundreds or to thousands of genes. Just one chromosome. It contains 100, but gene has, okay, look at this. This is gene. Inside of this gene, the big part of this gene is called chromosome. But inside each chromosome are hundreds to thousands of genes. Every human being has 22 pairs of chromosome. I know it's 23 there, I'm coming to that. Has 22 pairs of chromosome with one pair of sex chromosome, making 23 pairs or 46 chromosome. So when the doctor want to determine the sex of your baby fetus, what they do is go and find that X and Y. They go and find that one chromosome out of 23, one of them is what determines the sex. Because even though the organs of the baby is not formed yet, is still a fetus, the chromosome or this one pair of chromosome contain generic information to tell the entire chromosome, when you grow up, you're going to be a girl. Even though the girlish stuff in her has not formed yet. That is how minute our God. So a trait, you know, I talked to you about a trait. A trait is any gene determined characteristic. Underline that word. Any gene determined characteristic. So if I see a characteristic in you that is a gene determined characteristics, then that becomes what we call a trait. That is what is called a trait. And I don't have time to get to the mutation. You know that this coronavirus has mutated. I don't have time to get to mutation. You know, mutation occurs when you are in certain geographical location, and I don't want to get into it. You know, that's why Chinese are short, and, you know, it's the mutation of the genes. But let's go to the theology part of it. I don't want to get into that. I want to introduce you into another thing called allele. You know, allele is a specific form of gene. We've talked about gene, we've talked about chromosome, but you can take all that gene and take one specific, because there are different kinds of genes, like I told you, and whichever has the dominant effect is what your characteristic becomes. But look at the fine difference between allele and the gene. Allele, give me allele, is a specific form of a gene. And these genes in general are responsible for the expression of a trait. You know, I told you what a trait is. The expression of that trait is the responsibility of a gene. But look at the difference between gene and allele. Expression of a trait is gene, but allele is responsible for the variation in which a given gene or a given trait can express itself. I will show you this in the Bible. It is the variation for which a given gene can express itself, or the limit Can I mess up my sermon quickly so that you can understand what I'm saying? Because I'm jumping, you know, that's called mess up sermon. I should have waited, but I'm going to jump. You know, the reason why a sun doesn't shine at night is because of Alil. Because, you get me now. Because the variation of a sunshine is limited through the day. So there are genes, specific gene in you that has a specific time. You didn't know you come to a biology class. All right, let's go into theology. Let's go into theology. I want to take all this biology and connect it to theology. So you can know that I'm still in black history. Because I'm trying to let you see where you came from. God is a victim of his own. We call it nature. But it is really God. Of his own rule. When he make a rule, he has to apply and work within that rule. So let's get started. Genesis 1:1. Genesis 1:1. In the first book of Genesis, the Bible says, in the beginning, God created. The word created there can be replaced with the word birth. So in the beginning, God birthed heaven and earth. God has to birth heaven and earth because that is his own rule. That nothing comes without coming through a generic roadmap. There's nothing that can exist except Elohim. Because Elohim means self-existing. That is the number one proof there is God. Because there's nothing that can be self-existing. Nature doesn't allow it. So God said, for anything else to exist, it has to go through heredity. It has to go through genealogy. So, heaven and earth, I birth you. So, heaven and earth contain every generic code that is in the host gene. But heaven is not an allele. Earth is not an allele. There is no limitation in its expression. Because it comes directly from unlimited God. I feel it. Heaven and earth now become a blank sheet of paper. Because God is so unlimited, what came out of him has to be unlimited. As a matter of fact, the meaning of heaven means ever expanding. So heaven has no dimension. So God created heaven and earth. Well, earth has dimension. That is the proof that God is God. Because God said, I'm so much God, I can create something that has dimension and something that has no dimension at the same time. That is the fact that God is God. Oh, can I drill down? Okay. So, God created a blank sheet. Let's advance to Genesis 1 and 3. Genesis 1 and 3, God created something out of the blank sheet. Look at what he created. Genesis 1 and 3, hurry up. 1 and 3, I'll read it. And God said. Every time you see said in Genesis is called birth. And God birthed light. And light was. It wasn't until he birthed it. But when he birthed it, it became alive. So when God birthed light, remember now that genes are the hereditary molecule which transfer trait to the progeny. You remember? So light has the gene of God. So the trait of God is in light. That is why light shines. Light get is shining. What this Psalm told us, in the book of Psalms says, for God is light, and in him there is no darkness. So when he birthed light, light has no choice. Light say, I am the gene of he who birthed me. And light began to shine. Oh, go deeper with me. In verse 5. Let's look at verse 5. Give me verse 5. And God called the light day. This is what I jumped to earlier. God in verse 3 created light. But light is not, is just a piece of the blank paper that he made in verse 1. Verse 1 contained everything. But light is just a little piece. And that piece has to operate under the auspices of Alil. And what Alil does is responsible for variation in a given trait as to how it can express itself. So light is under Alil, and it can only express itself in a time called day. So God called that period that light can express itself day. That is how our genes operate. Okay, let's go to 6 and 7. I'm hurrying now because I want to get to the middle of the 6 and 7. God birthed firmament. Yes. And he birthed firmament. And what does firmament does? Because a blank sheet of paper, and that blank sheet of paper, earth was combined with heaven in that blank sheet of paper. So Alil now want to take place. What takes place in your biology? Alil say, heaven, you cannot operate down here. So I'm going to birth something called firmament. And firmament say, go to heaven, heaven, stay on earth, earth. And when heaven wanted to affect earth, and because God has made an Alil, he became a victim of his own rule. So he has to send his son to come to earth, because heaven cannot affect earth. Just like your chromosome and your genes operate. So the gene in heaven, it was separated by firmament. Can I give you one more? Because you know there are several ones like that. In verse 9 and 10, God birthed something that is called land. And another thing that is called sea. Because the second verse said the earth was void. So God made something that is called land and something that is called sea. How did he make it? He made it by the obedience of Alil. Because the obedience of Alil say water move to one side. And when water obey, land appear. And land start operating within the confines. That's what Alil is. Within that confines. And sea start operating within the confine. So Atlantic Ocean, you stay there, don't come to Memphis. Mississippi River, don't cross Front Street. You cross Front Street, you are violating. That's the alley or the area of expression. So water, you can only be water while you are in this ditch. Oh God, help me. So let's go. You know, we can, I just got through with verse 9 and 10. We can go through every creation for the next 6 days that he created. This is how he birthed it. But since I don't have time to go through every one of them, I want to jump to verse 26. I want to jump to verse 26. In verse 26, God said, let us.
Yes, sir. Come on. Yes, sir.
Everybody said, let us make a man. And God became specific.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He said, let us make a man in our own chromosome and on our own likeness gene. So you are made in God's chromosome and in God's gene. And let them, that is all of the gene inside the chromosome, God has empowered to have dominion. That's why, let me see. Let me ask one question before I go. How many here, by the raising of your hand, whether you registered it or not, have owned your own business? Whether registered or not. This is where you got that gene from. Dominion. Registering or not registering, anything you are doing and creating yourself, you have dominion over it. This is where that gene came from. That's why you can be working for FedEx, you still want to be making basket. You can work for international paper, something still tell you you can be doing hair at home. Because you are a victim of what you are connected with. And because you are connected to the gene of Adam that says you will have dominion. Tell your neighbor, that's whom we are. Come on, shout, that's whom we are. Then this dominion did not just stop on terra firma. He said dominion over the air, the three faces of God. The air, the land, and the sea. Now, what's your problem? If the gene that birthed you, that you are connected with, if you can find something in the air, you ought to find something in the land. If you can find something in the land, you ought to find something in the sea. Somebody shout genealogy. We're just getting warm. Let's go deeper. But he did something crazy in verse 28. Let's look at verse 28. Verse 28, he says, And God blessed them, and God said unto them, duplicate. And God said unto them, duplicate. Be fruitful. Be fruitful. And multiply. And, oh, wait a minute. What kind of English is that? It looks like God don't know how to write. Because you shouldn't use and. You should just use comma, comma, comma. But let me show you what he's doing there. Fruitful means addition. Multiply means addition fast. No, you didn't get it. Let me try. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is equal to what? 6. That's addition. But 2 times 3 is equal to what? 6. That's really addition fast. So God said, not only do I want you to add, I want you to do it. Multiply and replenish the earth. The word, oh God, the word replenish. This is a crazy word that in some school it means to the power of. Exponential. So if you take 2 to the power of 3, it's not 6. Because exponential is faster than multiplication. But replenish also means something. It means that when you get through eating what you have, reproduce it. That's the reason why you can have a seedless grape. Because if this grape is seedless, you have no seeds to plant. But you can take the stem of a seedless grape and you produce another grape. And God said, when you don't have nothing to plant, I have given, oh God, I have given you authority to create. When your job does not give you the raise, I have given you the authority to. Yeah, sit down, yeah, sit down, yeah, sit down. Now I submit to you my appetizer. Now we want to go to the main course. Everything we have done is appetizer. A setup so I can show you whom you are. Genesis, the 5th chapter, is where we start. After God, which was the original gene, reproduced a connected gene called Adam. And if you really know Adam, He was not born as a child because there's no mother to give him milk.
It's time for a Mind Therapy Minute from Pavilion of Hope Ministries.
The razor is sharp, but can't cut a tree. The axe is strong, but it cannot cut the air. The moral of the story is everyone is important according to their unique purpose. Never look down on anyone unless you are admiring their shoes. At Pavilion of Hope Ministries, our mission is to cultivate and promote the spiritual growth of all people by spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. We are a training ground to equip disciples with kingdom principles and revelations of the Word of God. We are called to seek and save those that are lost. Please join us for worship at one of our Memphis locations. In the southeast, we have 4170 Riverdale Road, and in FRAYSER, we have 2869 Woodlawn Terrace.
Pavilion of Hope, where we create a culture of change throughout the nations that impact and empowers others to live a Christ-purposed life.
He was born grown up. But he was a strange grown up. Because Adam was running throughout the Garden of Eden with an umbilical cord. He ought to, because your umbilical cord connects you to your mother. And there was no midwife to cut the umbilical cord. So he was running throughout. No. That's where God could find him. He was hiding from who he was connected to. How stupid can you be? He was connected to somebody and you are hiding from that person. And God did one of this number. You can run, but you can't hide. And all he has to do is pull the umbilical cord. And the moment he pulled the umbilical cord, so Adam was found. But when he was found, and he was kicked out of Eden, you remember them seraphim at the gate with a sword? They're the one that cut the umbilical cord. Because ever since that day, the connection between Adam and God was. So what God said to Adam, the day you eat of this fruit, you will die. He's not really saying die. He's saying your umbilical cord will be. And when that umbilical cord is cut, it represents death. Did you remember in slavery? Well, those of you who watch The Roots, is when a black woman have a baby by the white master, then they cut the umbilical cord and leave the baby to bleed to death. Because the cutting of the umbilical cord is the initiation of death. Adam, where art thou? Okay, let's go deeper. So Adam will navigate all the way to the 5th chapter of Genesis. And I don't have time to deal with Seth, Cain. Cain has a trait coming out of the same womb that Abel has a different trait. Okay, let's go to the 5th chapter. In the 5th chapter, there came a man called Noah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's the beginning of today's message. This Noah had 3 sons.
Yes. Come on, Bishop.
And the 3 sons of Noah were the principal human in the ark. 3 sons and their wife, Noah and Mrs. Noah. That makes 8 people in the ark. The grassroots of human race. The second oldest son of Noah is called Ham.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ham really means black.
Hey, come on, Bishop. Come on.
Let me mess you up. Let me mess you up. Let me mess you up. Genesis 5:32, quickly. Let me mess you up. The first son is called Japheth. Japheth in Hebrew means enlargement. Watch this now. Name denotes DNA coding. Follow me. This is deep. They don't name people in those days. They name them by the coding in their DNA. His name shall be called Emmanuel. It is so important to God that God say, Mary, you will not name him. But 800 years before he was born, I will tell you his generic coding. His generic coding means God with. So let's go. Japheth means enlargement. Shem means fame. And I think it's like 90% of the famous, or the what do you call that trophy? Nobel something, Nobel trophy, Nobel Peace Prize came from the Shemites. About 80 to 90% of it, because that is how their DNA is coded. Don't try to be a noble. Just be who you are. But when he came to Ham, one means enlargement, and that's why the Europeans are so big. One means noble, but how in the world did they name Ham Ham? He named Ham colored or black, because it is the intention of God not to talk about color in the other folks, but when they come to Ham, he brought up color. It's got to be something about color. He didn't say yellow. He didn't say white. He said black. The most colorful thing in the world is black. Let me say it again. The most colorful thing in the world is black. The most dominant color in the world is black. Are you ready for this? Black is in every color. Let me say it again. Black is contained in every color. There's no color that you can mix without the formulation of black. But are you ready for this? This will knock you down. Black exclude every color. There is no color you put together to get black. Black is by itself. Somebody shout, I'm black and proud. Because ain't nobody made like this Negro. God made me special. And can nobody duplicate me. I'm the original. I'm God's template. I'm God's original. I'm God's basic. Everything has come out of me, but nothing has to get in me to make me me. Come on, somebody shout, I'm original. Let me show you something. You know, there are several genes in the chromosome. Thousands of thousands. But each one of them has special characteristics. And God said there is one gene with a characteristic that no other gene has. Y'all didn't get it. There is one gene in me, that's God speaking, that no other gene has. This gene has a capability of making any other gene, but it's so unique that no other gene can be it. And I will name the second born of Noah that gene. So don't you be confused that you are black. God made you black and named you black because you are uniquely black. Can I go just a little bit deeper? I know I'm over. Can I go? It takes a month because if I don't give you foundation, you won't get it. Watch this. Ham has 4 sons. They call them the Hamites. They call them the Hamites. I have to bring this up so as to dismiss some myth because they have lied to you. Propaganda campaign was what kept you in slavery for 400 years. No. They read what I'm reading. They knew you are special. But as long as they can cover your face and you don't see whom you are bound to sit where they put you. I got to this city in 1985 and I say, I ain't sitting. They say, you from Africa? I say, yes. That means I'm supposed to be ahead of you. They won't hire me because I was too superior. And I went and take a lower job. A lower job. And when I got in there, I said, now I'm in, you can get me out. This is who I am. And when who I am was exposed, I went all the way from the bottom One day, Harrington found out that I have a master's degree in engineering. My boss only have a bachelor. No, my immediate boss only have 2-year associates. And his boss has a bachelor's degree. And here I am, a master's degree, 4.0 in engineering. And one day, Harrington gave me a $58,000 raise and moved me from the bottom because my gene is coded for the Ham has 4 sons. Ham has 4 sons. I want to dismiss the myth. One of these sons is called Cush. Everybody say Cush. The Cushnites. The Cushnites are the Ethiopians in the sub-Sahara of Africa. Let me explain. Cush is really another word for Ethiopia. Ethiopia, Ethios, means black. Opia, that's where you get optician from, means face. So Ethiopian, black face. So the Cushnites are in the black face region. You go to Egypt, you see some of them whiter than white. So first the Cushnites are Ethiopians. They settle in Ethiopia, south of Egypt. Number 2 son is called Mizraim. They are the Egyptians. Mizraim. They are the Egyptians. They are the ones that settle in the northern Africa. The 3rd son is called Put from Libya. Gaddafi and all of them. They are the one that are settled in the northern Africa. Watch this now. All these are Hamites. All these are Hamites. And then the last one is the Canaan. And the Canaan settled in what is now known as the Mediterranean. Now, you have heard that the black folks are cursed because when old Noah was sloppy drunk, when old Ham was sloppy drunk, the son went and looked at the nakedness of the father. And in the book of Isaiah, you will see where he says, "Cursed art thou, Canaan, and a subservient you will become." He didn't say, "Cursed art thou, Ham," cursed art thou, Cush, cursed art thou, Put, or cursed art thou, Mizraim. It was a curse on Canaan. And when Shem took over the Mediterranean, the Canaan, which is a son of Ham, become a servant unto the Shemites, because the curse was on Canaan and not on all Hamites. So look at your neighbor and say, I'm not cursed. I'm blessed. One more time, say, I'm not cursed. I'm blessed. No, make it plain. Say, I'm not a Canaan. I am a Cushite. As long as they can keep you in ignorance. Let me wrap this thing up. What is in your DNA? What are the coding that the Lord placed in you that is your allele, your tendency, and your boundary of expression? Who are you? What are you? I want to end this by showing you who you are. Bring my PowerPoint. Bring my PowerPoint. Number one. Can I get my PowerPoint? Thank you. This is whom you are. Next time you use a GPS in your car, or you use a Google map, you need to thank a black woman that knows that she is connected to God, the Creator. And she was the one that created the software for you to be anywhere in this world. And you can be located by the X and Y axis relative to the equator. Tell your neighbor, this is whom you are. Next. Next time you're wondering about Nigerians, I want you to meet Adekunle, the highest earning robotic engineer in the world. Most of the things you are seeing now were not made by hand no more. It is robots that assemble your Toyota car. It is robots that makes your television. This is the highest gadget man, because he knows his connection through the DNA as a Cushnite. And he took dominion. What is your excuse? What is your excuse? The gene that operates in him operates in you and connects you to the same person. No, we ain't gonna shout and dance this time. You gonna learn and walk out of here a different person. Next. Hey! Everybody here got a cell phone. Somebody call it hell phone, but it doesn't matter. And you cannot do a day without getting on the internet. Nobody. Not a day without doing something on the internet. Thanks to Mr. McHenry. He is the one that make your phone be able to receive internet. And for you to be able to connect. Otherwise, you will carry a computer this big in an attempt to connect to the internet. Just imagine Pastor Peter driving in that fast red car with a computer on his shoulder and one hand on the steering wheel. But he made it possible for you to surf the web, got email. No, Yahoo didn't make it. He made it. Because the gene in him is the gene of an inventor. Oh, I feel like slapping every one of you here. This is what you are sitting on. This is whom you are. And you're wasting your time arguing over spilled milk and who killed JR. Most black contributors to society are intentionally suppressed to perpetuate the myth of white racial superiority. That is called psychological warfare that is used to maintain white superiority. You are bigger than whom they say you are. Don't let nobody define you. Don't let nobody say who you are. Stand up and know whom you are. That's why I refuse to take a second place in anything. In anything I do. By the word of Obama, I can. I can. Black never been a president, I can. Black never been a vice president, I can. And now black never been on a Supreme Court, I can. I can. Next. If you have ever used a fax machine, a telephone, a call ID, or a call waiting, Dr. Jackson did it. Not a Lily White. Dr. Jackson did it. Because she realized what is in her. How many inventors are sitting down in this church today? The Bible says creation is groaning. Creation is groaning for the manifestation of the Cushnite. Every time you hear a thunder roll, that's creation crying that there are Cushnite here that never thought in the area of invention, but just looking for a paycheck on Friday. You are taking what you're supposed to be writing. You are the one to write the paycheck, not the one that's waiting for one to be given you. That is the gene in you. You are Cushnite. You are a developer. You are a creator. You are an answer. Oh, it challenged me when Biden became a president and said because cancer killed his son, he will find a cause to cancer. I said, where are the black doctors? Enough is enough of making you dance and shout on Sunday, and you can curse a cat. You are a creator. Give me one more. How? Many of us will be blind by now. If not, I told you when I got new eyes, I don't need this no more. I just use this to read. Thank God for Patricia Beth. Thank God that in 1981 this woman created what is now known as laser surgery for the eyes. There was laser surgery before, but for the eyes, it takes a black woman. And somebody lied to you that all you have to do is hatch babies and collect welfare. I rebuke that spirit in the name of Jesus. I uproot you from the hidden post that you are tied to. The ram was tied to a post, a hidden post at the intersection that nobody could see. But Jesus sent his disciples. He said, go and loose them. And if anybody asks you, why am I empowering the black people? I need to tell them that God has a need of you. The time has come. We ain't gonna be frying chicken and selling Coca-Cola cans. This is a church of millionaires. The time has come that empowerment has come. Tell your neighbor, whatever it takes, I will make a mark on this generation. Come and shout, whatever it takes, I will fulfill my destiny. Come and shout, whatever it takes, I'm called to be an inventor, and I will. Oh, come on, give the Lord a praise. Give me one more, give me one more, give me one more. That's why we bought John Deere lawnmower, because a black man invented lawnmower. No, watch this. Watch this. Your misery will become your ministry. They put black in the plantation to cut it, and a black man said, no, it's got to be a better way. My misery of cutting the yard will become a ministry of making a lawnmower. He invented a lawnmower. One more please, one more please. All these toys you are looking in front of him, he invented it. Lori almost make us late for church because she has so many toys in our room. Yes, she has 2 kitchens in the room. Thank you, sir, Mr. Harrison. But there are so many inventions that are black originated. And I rebuke the spirit of sitting down. As a matter of fact, I rebuke the spirit of satisfaction where you are. I pray that God will give you sleeplessness to advance to another level. I pray that God will give you a pushing spirit to say, I'm bigger than that, I'm better than that. When will you do what you've been called to do? When are you going to answer God and say, here I am, launch me, here I am, anoint me, here I am, send me. I am black, I am unique, make everything, but nothing can make me. Here I am. Stand to your feet. Thank you, Lord. This is a church of millionaire. This is a church of millionaire. I want you to see Miss Ford, Madam Miss C.J. Walker, Madam C.J. Walker, who was the first. No, she didn't complain that white people pulled me down. Tell your neighbor, no more excuse. You can be whom God has called you to be. Come and say, no more excuse. If C.J. Walker can do it, I will do it. I will do it. Finally, September 15, 1978, I landed in Washington, D.C. And for the past 10 hours before then, I have told God, I want to be a millionaire. And God say, look at so many millionaires where you are going. I said, God, there was no Google then, but I knew there were so many millionaires. And God told me this one word: if they can do it, you can do it. He made me realize that in my DNA, I'm coded to have dominion. I'm coded to be fruitful. All that makes the difference between me and you is that I recognize that I'm already coded for it. So I was never satisfied to just receive paycheck. I was never satisfied to just do enough. I was in graduate school and opened a furniture store in graduate school because I knew dominion is in my blood. It's in my gene. I worked for the city for 25 years and one day. And I have properties all over Memphis because I knew I'm supposed to dominate. You are connected to the Almighty God who has sent you with a coded DNA. If you don't do it, that's left to you. But today, you come into realization that the Lord created you for this season, and no white man can stop you. You are unique. You can make all colors, but no color can make you. You are black. The only one identified by color, by God. You are a winner.
Thank you for watching. I'm sure you were richly blessed by this message. For more life-changing messages from Bishop Wesley Arije, visit us on social media. To know more about Pavilion of Hope, please visit our website at www.pavilionofhope.net or join us as a special guest for our transformation service every Sunday at any of our locations closest to you. Pavilion of Hope, where faith is renewed and hope is restored.